Endgame Gear hasn't had a lot of products, but they have had many hits. The Cordura mousepads are excellent, and the XM1, well, I loved it. And this is their second gaming mouse they've ever released, the XM1R. But there is a little problem.
You see, this is the Endgame Gear XM1. I really liked it in my review of it a couple of weeks ago. And this is the XM1R. As far as I can tell, it's physically, completely, absolutely identical. But this XM1R costs $20 more. So then the XM1R is clearly not a big revolutionary upgrade of the XM1. This is clearly just a facelift, a slight boost in performance, a slight tweak. But that's not the worst, because there are a lot of worse mice you can build your NYX second generation mice off of.
Indeed, the XM1 is an excellent starting point to build another mouse off on. I absolutely loved it. From its shape to its size to its little features, I loved every aspect of the original XM1. In fact, I thought it was the best wired gaming mouse I had used up to that point when I first reviewed it. The only issue was that it wasn't wireless, but I loved every aspect of it. From its wonderful shape that was perfect for both my hand size and for my hybrid grip style, to its extremely close to the ground, very low click position that made it very easy to click quickly, constantly, as well as relieving a lot of the stress that I would find hurting my tendons or hurting my forearms when I use mice with higher click positions. The Endgame Gear XM1 is nothing short of a wonderful little mouse. It was light without having holes, and it had everything you needed and nothing more. No RGB, no frills, it just did everything you needed a gaming mouse to be. And the XM1R shares a lot of the XM1 stuff. It has the same shape, it has the same cable length, it has the same layout, and sure, maybe has a little bit more mouse feet on the bottom, but from an external outsider, third person point of view, it's hard to see where the differences are.
The XM1 is an excellent starting point, and to actually see what has been changed by Endgame Gear in the XM1R, we have to go inside and take a look. That's where all the magic has happened.
Inside the Pixart PMW3389 sensor that frankly is already considered pretty much flawless and perfect, has been replaced with the newer Pixart 3370 sensor to reduce motion latency. Not that anyone can really notice that in day-to-day use. And there has been mouse feet added to the bottom of the mouse so that the sensor is more stable and at a more consistent distance from the mousepad. The cable as well has been stiffened so that it's less floppy, less likely to stay in contact with your mousepad and get in the way even if you have a mouse bungee. A stiffer cable to have less inertia and allow the mouse to be more nimble.
The middle mouse button's switch has now been changed to something that's 30 grams lighter, making a more clicky, tactile and easier to press middle mouse button. Who would have thought of that? The left click buttons, the left thumb buttons you might use for push to talk to scream at your teammates for screwing up around, they've now been replaced from the original Huano TTC reds to TTC greens. These supposedly are more tactile, more snappy, crisper, and last longer. All that's geeky talk, and I guess we're geeks, but all you really need to know is this. The XM1R with these upgrades is the most technically sound and most tactile gaming mouse I've ever used. The switches are phenomenal.
And that's because the main left and right clicks, the stars of the show, have been upgraded to the Huano 8.0G switches. The latest in mouse click technology, and it's the absolute most tactile mouse click I've ever seen, used, felt on any gaming mouse. Seriously, go home, Omron, because this is the absolute king. And if I'm not wrong, the XM1R is the first ever gaming mouse to feature these switches. And they truly do live up to the hype. And that means when you're gaming, you're in a fast-paced Counter-Strike game and you're trying to pop heads, the click of your mouse is the snappiest you can ever get. In fact, it's so satisfying, it feels good even to miss. And it sounds good too.
So then, the XM1R. It's clearly a phenomenal mouse. Very, very impressive. I really like it, and I think this is the best wired mouse I've used of all time. I really, really love it. It took the wonderful XM1 and improved it even further in all aspects of things to make this lovely little package. I cannot recommend it, at least not right now, because there's one problem, and that one problem is $20 US. Yes, its older brother still exists. It's got exactly the same shape, and while its click won't be as satisfying as the sexy XM1R wrapped up in its translucent black packaging with its stiffer cable and slightly better sensor, while it's not that, it's still the same shape, the same weight, mostly the same experience, but 20 USD cheaper. And in times like this, when hyperinflation is possibly gonna hit the American economy very soon, possibly causing the next big financial crash and destroying the world as we know it for a couple of years, I just can't recommend the XM1R. Because just by virtue alone, that 20 USD spent is just rather frivolous. And if I were to buy a gaming mouse right now, when I was presented with these two options, I would choose the XM1 as the one I buy. Which is what I did. This XM1 was bought by me personally with my own money and not sent to me, unlike the XM1R. And I bought it secondhand just to save even more. And unless you're really rich, very financially secure, you're a professional gamer, you're someone who can justify this as some sort of expense, the XM1R just isn't worth the extra $20 US over the XM1. Because the XM1 is already a banging good mouse. And in times like this, when my viewers who are mostly teenagers and young adults, and possibly, most likely actually, still spending their parents' money, I just can't have a conscience if I recommend them spend 20 more US dollars of their parents' money in a period of time where in 3 to 6 months, their parents might have lost their jobs. So, the XM1R. A wonderful, brilliant, beautiful mouse. But in times like this, the extra cost is just a little bit frivolous, a little bit pointless, and you should just get the XM1 instead, unless you're loaded, or you can justify this as a need. And with that, that's my review. I think this was one of the best reviews I've ever made. So if you do agree, make sure you like and subscribe and support this YouTube channel so I can keep doing content like this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, I really do. And if you have any questions you want to ask, my Discord and Instagram are linked down below and I reply to everything over there. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.